Hello and welcome to Battle of the Christmas Movies between Lifetime and Hallmark. Alright, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Let's get started. Lifetime. First up is Christmas on the Menu. This one had a woman, she's a chef. She previously had a bakery that she ended up closing because she had gotten this really bad review from this food critic. Now she's got a new restaurant along with her bestie, that's the partner of the restaurant, but she's still very much the chef. She sees that he's critiquing once again, and she's not really a fan of him because she believes that it was because of him her bakery shut down. Ultimately, she's going to go back home for the holidays to help her mom. Her mom's opening a bed and breakfast along with like a bistro, and she's going to help her with the cooking and preparations and all that. So she ends up going back home, and it seems like with some of the food that she had made, the food critic was quite interested and wanted to know more. He ends up showing up at her mom's bed and breakfast, and she's like, well, what are you doing here? Like, don't give my mom a bad review. This is something that, you know, she's been wanting to do. Only review it if you love it. And he's like, all right, well, they end up spending time together and falling in love with each other. But it turns out his manager, the food critic's manager, I suppose they dated back in the day. She seems to still kind of have feelings for him, and she's just like not liking the fact that he seems more interested in the lead actress, the chef lady, and she's almost like there to just really sabotage the whole thing. And her criticism of the food is not necessarily if it's good or not, it's just the fact that she wants it to be sizzling for the blog or the review, whatever it is they're doing. Pretty much, obviously the drama happens. He ends up, he didn't write the review, but the manager did, and spoken about writing a terrible review for her mom's bed and breakfast and the food and stuff, and she got really pissed off at him and said, is that really what you think? Is that what you're gonna do? Pretty much, yeah. So the usual drama happens, but then at the end of the day, they come back together and all that. So overall, I will say I liked it. It was good, it was funny. Once again, food, love food. So there seems to be a lot of that going on. So I would say for sure, yeah, what can you say? It's about food and all this, you know, like cooking going on. So I enjoyed what was being made, and I wish once again I could have been eating it myself. All right, but that was Christmas on the Menu. Good one. Next up for Lifetime is a Christmas exchange. Yeah, that's it. A Christmas exchange. So there's this other woman. She's an editor, or at least she was, of the newspaper, but it looks like it's going to be closing down just because, you know, they're not paper print is not making enough money anymore. But pretty much, so that business is stopping. She's obsessed with watching like romance movies, reading romance novels, and one of her favorite authors is this woman named Julia or Julie or something like that, and she is really obsessed with watching this one movie, like, and always dreamt about going to London and meeting British man and stuff like that. So it was kind of funny. Her grandma had recently passed on, and now she's like, well, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm going to go to London and I'm going to meet my Romeo, basically. She's got a brother who's married to this other guy, and they're trying to adopt a baby, and that wasn't going so well thus far, but they're hoping to possibly be able to adopt a child. So she ends up going, she leases her flat for this other guy who happens to be in London and is wanting to write a book. and he was looking for somewhere quite peaceful, a new adventure for himself as well. All he's ever done was work, and with something he could care less about. So he just wanted something new and to really just write. So they end up chatting up and leasing both of their places to one another. So she gets his place in London and he gets her place in Connecticut, I think. After that, she gets there. She leaves him a lot of rules and stuff like that, water the plants. Her dog happened to be there because her brother has to come pick up the dog, and he hadn't yet. So the dog ends up being there with the guy when he walks through. But he ends up actually really liking the dog. The dog's name is Harry. And yeah, but she goes over there and she ends up meeting the author that she loves so much because she wanted to, start off as an intern or something like that, because she would really like to be a romance book editor of some sort. Yeah, but she ends up, and it turns out her father grew up in London. I suppose her parents had passed on pretty young. So she didn't really get to know them, but she just knew of stories from her grandmother. But yeah, so she wanted to really go to London and connect back to her roots, figure out where her father grew up and all this stuff, and of course meet her prince. But yeah, she ends up not really meeting her prince, and she ends up discovering that, she's really good at the editing thing, and the woman that she admires so much, the author, ends up asking her to review her new book. And she was basically editing it for her and letting her know how to make it more modern and great again and all this stuff. So at the end of the day, she ends up becoming the author's editor in New York. But obviously, the person that she's been asking questions of, that she leased her flat to, was communicating with her, and they ended up kind of really liking each other. At least he did initially. She just really thought he was a really, really nice person, but she hadn't met him. And of course, there's the drama once again, which he ends up meeting her, but he says he's someone else because I suppose he panicked. I don't know. But I thought, oh, well, of course she's going to get upset now that she's going to think, oh, you lied to me. You said you were this other person, which she did. But once again, at the end of the day, they work things out. I will say I liked husband of the brother. He was quite funny. Kind of got the guy out of his comfort zone. It's just like, come on, let's hang out. And then when they were like doing some chores and all this stuff, I just thought it was really great chemistry all around with all the characters. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one too. And once again, it's taking place in London, so of course we'd love that. And it kind of sounds like something I would probably do too. I'm not sure, but definitely an adventure and something I would look into. So yeah, that was A Christmas Exchange. Hallmark. Now, this one's called A Christmas Carousel. This one is about father-daughter. They do restoration of carousels. I guess her grandfather, a long time ago, or great-grandfather, I don't know which one, but was a builder of carousels. So now they go all around and they restore all the carousels that their grandfather has done, and even some other projects that they want to do. She's an art teacher and she loves it, and she's interested in expanding and maybe taking over as the program director of where she's currently working. They end up being called up to restore a carousel in this place, and it turns out it's for the king of this place and the prince and all that, and he wants to do it as a gift to his niece. So yeah, they go off. She ends up meeting up with the prince, and she decides that, okay, well, this is cool, like she's falling in love with him and he's falling in love with her, but he never really wanted to get married before, because it would mean then he would have to become serious about becoming taking up the mantle, becoming king. And he was never really interested in all of that. So yes, what happens? She ends up, like I said, falling in love with him. He falls in love with her, but then his father, the king, is more strict and wants him to focus his attention more on this other woman who happens to be his childhood bestie. But obviously he doesn't love her, but the father is like firm on this and says, no, this is who you need to be with. I hope this other woman is not being a distraction to you. But obviously they can't deny their connection. The prince is trying to open an art school and is trying to get some funding for it. The duke or something, he's selling his manor, and the prince would like for him to give it to them for the art school. But the duke is quite stuffy and all that, but he ends up becoming really excited and mellow because the niece ends up singing a song that he held very dear to his heart when his wife at the time was still around, and family and all this stuff. So yes, they end up getting the manor, but pretty much, once again, the girl obviously ends up thinking, well, he has to be with this person, and clearly I'm not the match for him. But he obviously clears that up. She ends up coming back and saying, well, this is how I feel. And he's like, I know, I very much love you and I want to be with you. And so yeah, pretty much end of the day ends well once again. Yeah, good story, was cute. I liked it as well. So yes, that was Hallmark's A Christmas Carousel. Good one as well. Alright, that is it for now. Once again, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye!